This is the Grapple Right Show, episode 44. PJ Montano. To the Grapple Rise Show. My guest this week is PJ Montano, who is, as you can see, is taking time out of his very busy day to join us. So we are very grateful. Thank you for joining us, PJ.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. I'm blessed to be here. Beyond anything, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And our first question to anyone who's first time on the show, because we'd like to know everyone's journey, and that's what we're all about. Where did it all begin for you, sir?
Wow. So, it began when I opened my eyes. So this is something that my dad was a police officer. That's how it started. I just remember waking up and I had wrestling shoes on and I was learning some type of martial art. That's something that I just remember being born into and just continued it throughout my life. My dad would always tell me the theory of Bushido, which is, life in every breath, and that, everything that we're doing, there's a path that you have to follow. And regardless of what you choose, I chose the red path because I'm also Native American. So the red path is the path of the warrior healer. So we're here to help people, whether it be in combat or healing. I found that duality later in life, but it started there with my dad, and then it branched out into high school. I got into wrestling hardcore, like really hardcore. And I ended up being an All-American for Greco freestyle. Then went into college, wrestled at Cal State Bakersfield under TJ Kerr and Stephen Neal, Daryl Pope, Rafael Davis. Those were my coaches at that particular time in California. And then after college, I got home and I was like, what do I do with wrestling? Like, I don't know what to do with this. And one of my friends introduced me to Eric Paulson. He was like, hey, man, you got to come to this Eric Paulson school. And I was like, anybody that knows who Eric Paulson is in the world of catch wrestling knows he's a legend, right? So I'm like, I'm a naive 22-year-old kid, like, who's Eric Paulson? What's he going to teach me? I'm like, oh, I found out real quick. Real quick. Let's just say that. He heel hooked me in like my first roll with him. And I was like, what is that? Now, mind you, like these leg locks nowadays in 2025, oh, this new system. No. I was doing leg locks in like 2004, 2005. Okay. Like 20 years ago, this was already rampant. Like, so, I just got blessed. I didn't know I was learning from a legend, right? I just knew I was learning from this guy that was really, really badass. That's what I was thinking. This guy's harder than everybody I've ever rolled with. Then I met Higa Machado through him because Higan is Eric's jiu-jitsu coach. So I just fell into those two guys, through the blessing of God. Like I just was placed. I knew somebody that knew these people that put me in the right place to get there. And then I started doing it. And then, I slowly, progressed to my brown belt. And when I went from brown to black, I remember Higan and Eric specifically saying, like, you want to be a black belt? I'm like, yeah, man, I want to be a black belt, And he's like, okay, then I want you to fight for it. And now in my mind, I'm like, I'm already competing like once a month, like for the past, 4 or 5 years. What I told Paulson, I'm like, I'm doing this once a month. Like, what do you mean fight for it? He's like, oh, well, maybe you got to do it twice a month, and just like walked away. And I'm like, what is that what this is? That's what I found out. That's what this is. And then, I competed with Fight to Win, with Subversive, ADCC. I did the whole process. I did some gladiator challenge up north when I was wrestling for some mild MMA when I was like 18 to like 20. But I fell in love with catch wrestling and jiu-jitsu when I found Eric Paulson, and I just went with that and I represented it. And anywhere I go knows I'm a CSW Eric Paulson affiliate. But when I got to a point where I hurt my ACL. I blew out my ACL. Okay. And that was I blew out my ACL in college. And that's what, forced me to go to when I got done with graduating and coming back home, training jujitsu, and then I blew up my other one. I mean, that's just, when you've been wrestling from and I'm 42 now, when you've been wrestling from 6 years old to 42, you're bound to get some dings, tears, pops, cracks. I mean, I call it Rice Krispies, snap, crackle, pop. I'm like Team Advil all day right now because I'm
The old
over
one and
40.
tear,
Everything
isn't it?
hurts.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything hurts. Everything eek, eek, like the Tin Man in the morning, But I would never change it for the world. My dad said that too. He's like, later that's gonna hurt. I'm like, did it stop you? And he's like, no. And I was like, then it's not gonna stop me. That kind of situation. But then once I got hurt, I was really like, okay, like I'm still gonna try to compete. And I found myself into reffing. I got into reffing through a group called High Rollers, which is cannabis infused in jiu-jitsu. I just happened to be there, and the referee didn't show up, and they needed a black belt to ref, so I jumped in because I knew it, and I just was like, oh wow, I can do this. This is something I can do. Like I can easily do this, no problem. So then I got involved with reffing around my area first. Then I met, the Subversive crew who is like my family. I got into them and they gave me the opportunity to become their athlete liaison, their head referee. So then now I'm like dealing with fighters and reffing at the same time, calling them, talking to them, learning who they are, really becoming more personal with it, right? So it becomes more than just I'm just standing here to ref. Like I know you, I can speak to you. We can talk. We're all human. We're all human, right? Like, I was always taught, you never look down on someone unless you're going to help them up. Right. So like my goal is to get everybody to that level. Cause at the top, everyone's collabing with each other. No one's competing. Right. So that's what your ultimate goal is to be able to be a part of the community, but to give essence to the community, to give, to give the energy that you have. I'm giving it to this community because I love this art so much. And I do know that it changes people's lives and saves people's lives. So if I can be in the middle of it, controlling that chaos, as they say, to make sure that you can go full speed as much as you possibly want and still, keep you safe while you're being your best. That's why I want to be there, and then like after Subversive, I got into Fight to Win. I started reffing for Fight to Win under Seth Daniels. Anytime they come to California, I always try to be on that card for them because I love it. I love it. And then I got into PGF World. The PGF World is like the NFL of jiu-jitsu right now, right? You've got teams from all over, like the Detroit Dolmers, Florida Thunder Tropics, Alabama Twisters, the Philadelphia Phenoms, the Las Vegas Kings. Like these are actual teams now that are being created and funded by people with money, so that these fighters that dedicated their lives to a sport that when I was a kid was like a stepchild sport. I had to know someone at a Boys and Girls Club or a YMCA that was holding an event. And then you went there for an hour and then they had 5 videotapes with the next greatest, latest moves that you bought, of course, because you weren't going to see it on the internet. There was no internet at that time. So like I had to learn off of fucking videotape, like, wait, pause, play, rewind, pause, play. Like that was, the kids don't understand. People nowadays don't understand what they have in their hands, and they're watching cats playing piano, instead of diving into like super crazy. Like you have all the technique on film right in front of you. Like I had to like scrimp and dig and like lift up tiles to find that stuff. And now people are
in
like,
the UK, it was tape trading and all sorts back then, and trying to get hold of, even when it was UFC, tape trading to try and get hold of those and stuff. And it's,
that's what people don't understand. Like I was sitting there, putting record while it was playing so I could watch it later. Like, that was the kind of, so we're from the old school, you know what I mean? So, then when I got into PGF, I realized like, wow, like it was like watching my childhood dream manifest in front of my eyes, like seeing this next generation of grapplers, growing the sport into a professional sport now, to where you can actually make money off of this stuff, like real money, like a contract for a year that will sponsor you, take care of your payments, your nutrition, your everything, gear, the whole situation for the whole year. Like who wouldn't do that? And then knowing that you can come to a match and do some crazy stuff if you go full speed and then get a 5K bonus for that. Come on. Like that's the dream. That was the dream at my age. And now that it's there, and again, I always give all praise and glory to God, whatever your whatever you believe in. But the fact that I used to dream about this and he placed me as a main character to control that in the middle, to me is the greatest vocation that I could ask for. Again, because I do surgery too. So in my real life, I'm an actual surgical FA. So I do surgery. Like I specialize in oncology, cancer at UCI in Orange. So I've dedicated my life to this duality of being a paladin. Like I teach the arts of war and healing, and that's the beautiful thing that I've always tried to balance. Because of some of the stuff I see in surgery, it's pretty real, man. Like it's real life, like life and death. And sometimes I got to tell people that they're not going to make it or that they are going to make it. And, jujitsu has been my therapy, my saving grace, my balance, the only thing that could take the dark that I saw and, bring it to the light, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't be who I am without this art, and even late, like 3 weeks ago, I went to the Herb Dean course, right? The Herb Dean MMA referee course. Man, anybody that watches this, that sees this, that wants to be serious about being an MMA referee or just a referee in any combat sports, you got to take this course, man. This course, I thought I knew, you know what I mean? Like out of all my years of training and watching and competing and years of reffing, like I thought I knew, dude. I was only knee deep, like only knee deep. Like
that's what I was going to ask. One of the questions I had down for you, because obviously with being in all the different things you've competed in and yourself, I mean, you've done it all yourself, and then to put the stripe shirt on or whatever and be the ref and stand there. What is that sort of one thing that you learned that you thought, that surprise, that one thing you think, well, I've done, like you were saying, I've done all this, I've competed loads, I know what all the rules are. What was that one bit you were like, whoa? Well, that one misconception maybe people have, because everyone at home knows how to ref, don't they? Everyone's watching on telly going, that was too early, that was too fast, or whatever. What's that one thing? Yeah.
That one, so the one thing, one thing is the gas pedal. That's the only way I can describe it. The gas pedal. So like, matches where I thought like someone just dominating, boom, 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 beating up, blah, 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 blah. That was something I would score a certain way, or I would look at it as a certain way. And then Herb would go, wait, let's take that back again. Okay, so you gave him this because you had the 3Ds, right? So like dominance, duration, and damage, right? So you got to have all three of those to make something to make something, truly, like an exclamation point. Michael Bell and Herb Dean really hammered those thoughts into me, right? So like we watched, I don't know, hours of video, deciphering it, breaking it down, having conversations about each match. And these are all matches that I've seen before that were controversial, that I was like, oh, well, why they, like how you were talking about looking for that one thing. So you're looking for the gas pedal. So there's a certain point in the fight where they're scrambling, and then there'll be a moment of shift. And it's either you see the guy going and you see him go, and then it kind of slows down a little bit, right? Or he's go, and then like just buries him. So it's that, the gas pedal. Learning the gas pedal as far as like, a state judge, a state referee, like an inspector, like those, that is the hardest part to learn, but it was also the most eye-opening aspect for me, because I thought I knew what true damage, true duration, true, dominance was, and I was 2 ticks off. You know what I mean? Based off of my thought. And because I'm thinking like, this is what it is. No, this is different. This is what this is now, because you took grappling into consideration, but where was top position? Where was pressure? And you were like, dude, like what I learned was that an MMA referee, it's not just some guy standing there stopping and starting the fight. Like I've got to know the state, like as a state referee, I've got to know the inspector's situation, all of theirs, the judges, all of theirs, the referee, and all of that. I've got to know all three and be able to, eloquently explain or argue those situations if I was ever contested. So like, again, because of surgery, I'm a major nerd for study. I love study. Anything that's going to make me smarter, better, sharper, more intelligent, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Because knowledge is power. That's the way I see it. Yeah. So it was the study that wasn't the study. It was the depth of study that Herb Dean's course gave me, that I was like, all right, yeah, because I'm not going to lie. I kind of came in like, all right, I'm going to be comfortable. Like, I know a lot of this stuff already. And I did, which made me very confident in a lot of arenas. But then applying all the new stuff that I learned, that was where it was like, because I remember doing my mock fight and I was like, whew, why the fuck am I so nervous? Like, fuck, there's so much. Because, I was thinking about all the new stuff that I had to be watching for. Hair pulling, gripping, just little things that you always look for, but you really didn't dive into unless somebody sat there in front of you and really like bullet pointed all of this stuff. And you're like, shit, I'm always watching for that, but I didn't think about that, or I didn't think about that, or I didn't think about that. Okay, so that's 4 more things I got to look for, and I got to add, and I've got to, adapt and do all that stuff. And it wasn't just all schoolwork. It wasn't just all book work. Like, whatever we were doing in that course with Herb and with Michael Bell was like, it was, here it is. This is it. This is a version of it. And now let's go practice it and put you in scenarios. So it was just such an amazing mind altering camp. Like I came out of there. I always tell people I came out of there changed, like altered as how I see, view, look at things, approach things, even teaching. Like, I have my gym over at UFC Garden Walk in Anaheim, running the jiu-jitsu courses and the MMA courses and all that other kind of stuff like that. Like, before that, I had a great idea how to teach, how to do all that because of the years I've done it. But now applying the true knowledge of like everything, that whole circle, and bringing it all to taking a circle. It's like taking 5 fingers and making it a fist. You know what I mean? Like, I'm taking all of these aspects that I've been blessed to learn and study and practice, and now I can make it my own, if that makes sense. And
what would be that one thing you learn that? So if there is like an MMA fighter listening to this, or jiu-jitsu fighter, whatever, what would be that one thing from what you've picked up, the new stuff you've learned? What would be that piece of advice you would give them now? Or if someone's just starting out in an MMA career or wants one, from what you've learned, what would be that one piece of advice that you would give them now?
I would say humility. And an open mind. I was always taught that this is your journey, not mine. Okay. The fight journey is your journey. Whoever's practicing, it's your journey. Even with my students and with my fighters, I tell them, hey, like, train with everyone. Because again, this comes back to how I was taught. Okay. From Eric Paulson, was that your martial arts, your skill's a tree. Okay. Your skill is a tree. It's going to grow, and it's going to, over time, as you nurture it, it's going to grow. And as you branch out to different people, you're going to learn different leaves of technique, and you're going to make your tree however you're going to make your tree. I also love to do bonsai, and I do that specifically because that applies to my philosophy of technique. If there's something that you don't need, get rid of it. If it doesn't apply to you, get rid of it. Take everything that you learn from all of the branches and all of the leaves that are there. And again, take those 5 fingers and make it your fist. Make it your own tree. Make it your own lineage. But never, ever, ever, ever forget your roots, because your roots are what started that tree. And that's Eric Paulson, Don Insanto. Don Insanto and Eric Paulson told me that personally when I got my black belt. When they told me I could go out and start teaching their styles of the Insanto and the CSW, Eric Paulson, Machado lineage, that was their exact words to me. and I've never forgot it. Never forgot it, because again, in this realm, in this world of jujitsu, you have a lot of that. You have a lot of, oh, I started here, but now I'm this. Okay, well, now you're this, but you're not giving credit to who started you. You got to remember, like, if you didn't start there, you wouldn't be here. Okay, like let's realize that. You know what I mean? And that's, I think it's, for me, I'm very old school. I'm very Bushido. I'm all about like honoring your Lord. Not like that he's my Lord or Shogun or whatever, but Terry Bushido, right? Like, loyalty is royalty. That's how I see it. And I can honestly say I've been with Eric Paulson for 22 years. I've never gone anywhere else. Have I gone to go learn things at different schools? Yes. Have I gone to go learn different styles at other schools and different techniques? Yes. But I always come home, and my home is CSW at Eric Paulson's in Fullerton. And that's what I would teach. That's what I would tell these fighters. The journey is yours, not anybody else's. Train with everybody, but never forget where you came from.
For you, because obviously, you've been with Eric and that gym for like 22 years, you said. But then, when did that time come for you to sort of branch out, get your own gym, become a coach in that yourself? When did that sort of moment? Because obviously, it is a. Well, it's not really a separation; it's an expansion, I guess, in a way. But you know what I mean. That moment, when did you think, right now, I need to do my thing?
You know what it was. It's kind of it's hard to talk about, but at the same time, it was like I was in a stuck in a situation in life where I really was. I was like, what do I need? Something needs to give. Something needs to change. Something. So there was just that energy, right? Then my grandfather passed away. And that was me and him. He was my inspiration for boxing, and he boxed and did judo in World War II. Then he taught my dad. So he actually started the line of
Alignment, yeah.
you have to keep doing it. So he started it. Then my dad learned it and did judo, boxing, karate, and wrestling. So then he taught me boxing, karate, wrestling, judo. I took jujitsu, sambo, freestyle, Greco, Kempo, karate. I just went nuts with it. So, it started when he passed away, because he felt like, he's like, I think you need to do something. You need to teach. We were talking like on deathbed stuff. You know what I mean? Then right after that, I was like sitting there thinking, this is the hard part. Like, you have a training partners that you train with your whole life, that you think are your brothers, that you think are, could call you if they ever had an issue, right? My best practice partner, shot himself. And that was my, like, I sat there like, it's just like, it happens like that. Like, again, I know that because of surgery and what I've seen and what I've done, but life happens like that. And it was just such a magnitude of energy propulsion. That's the best way I could describe it. That I was like, you know what? No, I got to do this now. And I reached out and said, hey, I'm ready. I want to do something. And they gave me their blessing. And here we are. It was literally an overnight decision. It was literally like, I was thinking about it. My grandpa passed away, and I even thought about it harder. My friend, I lost my friend. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it. Like, it was just like, I'm doing this now. Yeah. And I think it's really what it was a way to honor my grandpa first, but then also honor the memory of my friend as well. Because when you think about your training, right? When you think about what you've done or where you're going in this world of combat or jiu-jitsu, whatever it is that you're choosing, your partners really they matter. They're your sword and your shield. I tell this to my students. They always like, oh yeah, coach, whatever. But no, it really is like your training partners are your sword and shield. They're going to block your weaknesses and strike your weaknesses, but they'll also show you where you're strong. You know what I mean? And you have to have people that are willing to go into battle with you and for you, so that you can expose those weaknesses and those strengths. And I just know that when I lost my friend Caesar, my training was never going to be the same again. never would it be the same again, because he was that guy that if I punched you, he'd punch me right in the mouth. If I kicked you, he'd kick me in the head. If I need him, put his knee on the back of my face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just was that he was that guy for me. And I think that to me, it hasn't deterred me from fighting, but it backed me away in a way to where it wasn't that I was retreating. I was taking that energy and diving it into my teaching and into my reffing and to the areas I know that I can still work in right now, that I'm very loving and passionate about, that I'm dedicating my life to. And I have slowly seen that now I've become the instructor. It's even more backing. Like you can still fight, you can still train, but you have to spend time teaching. You have to humble yourself and kind of take a little bit of it, like a half a step back, so you can build this program and white belts and blue belts to get the ball going so that you can start fighting later. And, I was always taught that, when you're training people, you're raising snakes. You really are. And because if they don't bite you eventually, then you're not teaching them the right way. I look at, because, catch wrestling, snake pit, right? That's the original. So like I call myself like a snake handler. I consider myself a snake handler in the catch wrestling world, because I'm teaching them some stuff. I'm teaching white belt stuff that, purple and brown belts are learning, because it's catch wrestling basics, so it's a catch wrestling basic. So for me, white, like purple, brown belt stuff was normal white belt things for me at an Eric Paulson school, because of the lineage, it goes all the way back to, Bill Riley, Carl Gotch, Sayama, Tiger Mask, Nobody Nakamura, Eric Paulson. I mean, it goes so deep and in so many generations before me, that I really do marvel at the fact that I can truly like document my lineage. Like I can, like as Paulson says, like a pedigree lineage. I can literally document everyone from the beginning of the art to where I am now, to me. And having that ability to be able to do that, and to be able to have that credibility and honor to represent it, is, again, it's one of the truest blessings that I could ever ask for. Because, ultimately we're still involved with the sport after we're done competing, because we love it. I love this sport. I love what it represents. I love the community that it's with. It's all walks of life coming together. Most jiu-jitsu tournaments, I could say it's all the best aspects of life in one moment, because everybody, no matter what walk of life you are, whether you were a peasant or a king, you're all at the same event watching the same things with the same eyes. So there's no superiority there. And even as a black belt, when people, Professor, just call me PJ. The belt just holds my pants up. Okay. Like it doesn't mean anything, what did Hegan always say? It covers 2 inches of your ass. You got to cover the rest. You know what I mean? Like, that's it, and that's what I always tell people. Just because I'm a black belt doesn't mean I haven't gotten caught. I'll never admit to getting caught, but I've never gotten caught. You know what I mean? But I always tell my students, you got caught? No. Why'd you tell them you got caught? You never got caught. Time ran out, something like that. But, but I love this journey. I love what I'm able to be a part of. I love that I'm able to be involved in a way that is helping other people express their demons and heal themselves. Because, like I said, jiu-jitsu is my therapy. So who am I to say it's not everybody else's as well?
Definitely. So how do you take that whole, you just said that whole sort of world of knowledge that you've got, and you've moved on there, you've set up your own place. How do you sort of filter that through into what you're doing now? I mean, have you got, I imagine obviously you've got different classes, different things, etc. How does it, because coming up with a what's the word? No, coming up with like a training plan for people is one thing, but when you're suddenly now it's your gym, it's your dojo, and you've got classes going on all the time, I imagine things like that. How does that? How does that? Because you sort of you're moving up the chain, aren't you? And I mean, I'm a school teacher as well, and I always find that the further you go up, the less you're in the classroom, sort of thing. So I've always tried to keep about here, so I've still got my feet in the classroom, really, because that's what it's
Yeah.
about for me.
So for me, I was blessed enough because of the subversive group I'm in, right? So I've met a lot of fighters. I've gone to, PGF. I roll with some of the best, or roll, and I'm hanging around with some of the best jiu-jitsu players in the world. And when I think about that, sometimes I'm like, holy shit, like, and then so when I started my program, I'm like, you know what? It is like how you were saying, I'm going to have to go a morning class, afternoon class, 2 or 3 evening classes, Monday through Saturday. You know what I mean? How am I gonna do this? You know what I mean? Like, okay. So I started reaching out to people. I reached out to my friend Mike John at 10th Planet Orange, and he sent me my coach Luis. So this is different. Where I'm different. I'm a CSW affiliate, but I believe in training with everybody and bringing in different styles. Okay, because I'm a catch wrestler, passer, pressure, old school smash pass. That doesn't mean I can't do the other stuff, but that's my style. So I found someone that has a guard style to teach the guard style. And that's a 10th Planet guy. So I found my coach Luis, who's 10th Planet. So he runs my 6 a.m. classes. So in the morning, I have a 6 a.m. Monday through Friday and another instructor that covers it. And it's a 10th Planet system. So that right there is CSW, 10th Planet interweaving with each other. So then I found what's a good gi school? What's a very good gi school that I can think of? Checkmat's a very good gi school. I know Lucas Lite out of La Habra because I trained there. A couple of my good friends that I trained with at CSW went there, the Vistros, Troy and Ethan. And now they're in Texas with Kings, and it's like Gordon Ryan group or whatever. But they introduced me to Lucas Lite. And so I started going there and training in La Habra there for every now and then. And so I was like, hey, Lucas, I need somebody to cover like a gi class at night for me because, my surgical schedule, I do 312s. So there's a couple days I can't be there. I need someone to cover those classes. I'm like, who would you recommend? And he recommended our guy, Richie Valdez. And he was like, he's one of my up and coming guys. He's very good. He's eager. He's competing still. He's active while he's teaching. He's someone that I would recommend. So then I hired him. So I hired him to cover the nights that I'm not there. And that's Checkmat. So now we have CSW, Checkmat, and 10th Planet, right? I'm working on another instructor for an afternoon class right now from Atos. I haven't gotten the okay yet. But then if I have that, then we get that guy on board. We have catch wrestling, Atos Jiu-Jitsu, Checkmat Jiu-Jitsu, and 10th Planet system. I have 4 of the best jiu-jitsu systems in the world right now and on the competition stage at my academy. So not only is that great for my students and the fact that they get different views from different styles, but now their schools have another group, another hub that if they're in my area, they can come in and train with us. Yeah. If my kids are in their area, oh, hey, coach, I couldn't make it to our class. Well, hey, can you make it 10th Planet? No, I can't make it there. Can you make it Checkmat? No, I can't make it there. Can you make it to Atos? Yeah, I can make it there. Go there. Have 4 avenues to train under. So as a coach, as a catch wrestling practitioner, the thought was, if you only got one place to go, then you're not really training, right? So that's why you need 2. If you're serious about it and you couldn't find a place to train, you couldn't get a ride somewhere, you got to have someone closer that's a third place. So that'll give you your third thing. So you have to have at least 2 or 3 places that you're going to have fail safes for your training so that you can't tell me, oh, coach, I can't train today. What do you mean you can't train today? You got 4 places you can go. Don't tell me you can't train today, especially if you have a fight. Don't tell me you can't train today. It's the what I try to explain to these kids is that it's everything nowadays is a lifestyle. They need to make it a way of life if that's what they're looking for. And there's a huge difference. Like Sundays, I don't work on Sundays. I don't. I that's my family day. But because, at King of Subs, Drew is one of my brothers. He's one of my brothers of jiu-jitsu. I've refed alongside him at PGF. I'll go anywhere for the guy. So what did I do on a Sunday when he said he had a ref dropout? I came out here for him. But that's the brotherhood, and that's what I mean about our community. I drove an hour and 40 minutes to go help a friend of mine who needed help because I know he's got my back if I ever needed it. You know what I mean? So that's the the community that we create. That's the community that we're in. So when people, that's when we come back to the loyalty aspect. When you feel like you've grown too big for the pond and you jump out of it and walk on land, don't act like you never came out of the water. Okay. You were here with us. Just because you're walking on land now doesn't mean that you weren't one of us. So always, again, like that's what I said, always give respect to where you started, because if you didn't start there, you wouldn't be where you are now. And that's my theory on teaching. And like I said, if I'm just a page in your book of life, cool. At least I'm a page. I don't need to be a chapter. I just want to let you know that I was there and I did what I could for you while you were with me. And if the way I could teach you was to make you evolve in the aspect of your thinking towards training, then I've done what my job is. Because, I always tell them, I was like, you shouldn't pray. You should pray for your opponents, because you should pray for them to be the strongest, most trained, healthy, everything that the best they can possibly be, because there's no boast in an easy victory. You have to know that that when you warred and you won that war, not off a technicality or not off of this or off of that. You won it. And that's the mentality that I try to teach these guys, is that, they laugh at me because they think I'm so intense. And I'm just like, no, that's what it is. This is what it is. Like, you guys see it as a match. I see it as modern day gladiatora. Like, that's how I see it. So one of us is coming in and one of us is leaving. That's the mentality you have to come in there with. Now, you're probably not going to die in a jiu-jitsu match, but you need to, how do you know that you were trying to roll out of an armbar and you land on your neck, crack? I mean, it really is that delicate of a line sometimes, and I don't think we understand how much we tread that line. You know what I mean? Like, we're snails on a razor. We're slow. We're not cutting ourselves yet, but we're snails on a razor. We're not cutting ourselves, but there's a little drop of blood there. You know what I mean? We poked ourselves, but we haven't cut ourselves open yet, because that's really, you really are, you're practicing pain. You're practicing pain. That's literally what you're doing. And the game is who can kill the other faster. That's reality of jiu-jitsu, right? Like, that's what we do. So, you have to go in there with that mentality. I mean, yeah, we can be friends off the mat, but once we step on, like, you got to realize that this isn't a game anymore. This is jiu-jitsu, and it's called the gentle way, but it started with samurai, and it was the last form of resort of not dying, or taking the sword away and killing the other guy trying to stab you. I mean, that's when we really break it down. That's where it is. And if you forgot that, then you need to go home and study.
That's still one of the things I think nowadays that's become more of, it's not the right word, but I think the martial in the martial arts sometimes sort of gets forgotten nowadays, and it's become a kind of
An
a
art.
workout rather than it is a sport. I mean, how do you deal with that as a coach?
I'm honest. I let them know. Look, like, this is the way it is. Like I said, if you interviewed one of my students, they'd be like, "Dude, guy's nuts. Like, he's crazy. Like, he's like, take the arm and crank it. Yeah, take the arm and crank it. Take the arm, rip it. Yeah, rip it. Take the choke, rip his head off. It's because I always tell them after I explain it like that, I go, because listen to me. If he had the chance to do it to you, he's gonna fucking do it. Simple as that. If he can do it to you, he's gonna do it. So do it first and do it meaner than him, so that he knows next time. And they're like, oh man, this is the generation. Oh man, well, I don't want to get him pissed off. Pissed off? You're already fighting each other. What do you mean pissed off?
You should be already
royally. Yeah. I was like, you should be royally pissed off because he's trying to embarrass you in front of your family and your friends, your wife, your girlfriend. What? How do you even think like that? Like, that's like my mentality, right? Like, because because like you said, they're looking at it as a workout or an art, not as martial. And they forget that word, that martial art. It starts with martial, defending yourself, whether life and over a situation of life and death, right? That's what you're doing. And you're turning it into an art because you're learning it. So like the way I could describe it is how do we put it in words? You know, violence is a religion too. And you've got to learn its prayers if you're going to be preaching it. And if you're going to be a fighter, you better study that religion. You better study that religion. And I always tell people, if you're getting into competition and you're not researching ancient warriors or training methods or philosophy, you're not really becoming a warrior. A warrior's got to be body, mind, and spirit, not just body. Okay, not just aggression or spirit. You've got to take everything and put it together. You know what I mean? And the heart is the fourth piece that no one talks about, because without any of that, you don't have heart. You don't have grit. That's stuff that you can't get from anywhere else. You have to earn that and train that yourself. And I can't make you that. You have to choose to pick that up. You got to choose to go, oh shit, there's only dirt to eat. Take a bite. Oh, there's only steel. Let me rub my face against it. Like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it's going to be. And it will always be. And it always has been, survival of the fittest in this art. And if you're going into it with a question or a doubt or a myth, it's going to show up in the middle of the fray. You have to have that sharp mentality, that not cockiness, but just confidence in yourself and in the skill and in the training you've done, because the mat never lies. Your training never lies. So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you shouldn't have to worry about a damn thing. And, as long as I tell my students at the end of every class, if you did everything you could to get better today, then I have nothing else for you. But that's a conversation between you and yourself. That's all I can tell you. And if you could have gone a little harder when you walked, the guy that beat you, he sprinted. When you decided not to show up, homeboy did 2 hours in the gym. That's why you lost. You have to realize that is the snail on the razor. It is that millimeter of difference in training when it comes down to where no one can breathe, who did more and who did it harder. And if you don't have that, or somebody to tell you that or teach you that or put that in your mind, then you won't learn it until someone does. So I'm very off the bat. This is who I am. This is what you should expect. And if you don't like it, we've got 3 other coaches here that'll teach you different ways, but this is my way. And if you want to be rough, tough, thug, mean, I'm going to show you how to do it. Because what happens in the match, it's all about who can be meaner, tougher, and stronger and dominant in that moment. Afterwards, I'll shake your hand and get a beer with you. Sit down, talk about our families, see what we're going to do. Hey, come to my gym afterwards. Or maybe you beat me. Let me come to your gym and learn what you're doing there. That's the humility that I'm talking about. You should be able to war with each other and then have a meal afterwards. That's the theory. And people that I know when I do super fights, I always tell them, winner buys a beer. What? Yeah, because the winner's going to get paid, so the winner buys a beer for the loser. So if I beat you, I'll buy you a beer. If you beat me, buy me a beer. What other way is better to fight with each other? Hey, cheers. We survived. Skull. You know what I mean? Why not? Why not? I don't understand, but there's so many people out there nowadays that can't put that aside, that want to make themselves so, what's the word? What do they say it when it blows up in this nowadays? Viral. They want viral. They want such a viral moment that they're willing to diminish their character to make themselves look like there's something for just a fucking second of blip. Well, guess what? That second of blip that got you 1 million fucking views. Well, when you come to my tournament next time, I'm like, dude, that guy's a jerk off. You know what I mean? You're dancing over your opponent. Dude, act like you've been here. I get it. Your first win. Okay, great. Yeah, all right. Okay, now shake hands like a man. Move on, because realize that wasn't your last match. There's going to be more. So don't treat it like it was your greatest accomplishment. Greatest accomplishment to that point. Now, if you were going to quit, and you're going to put your belt down, bow it out, okay, by all means, do whatever you got to do because it's the last time you're going to do it. But if you're going to continue this lifestyle, you need to have integrity. And by flagrantly throwing your stuff and, I'm the best, fuck this guy. Okay, I get it. Okay, just stop now. Then you continue. All right. Like, come on. Like, it's enough. And then you go to the back and start talking shit to him and his team. Okay, come on. Really? Like, because I see that stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, really? Okay, that person and that person, next time I see them, I'm just going to know that they're that type of person.
How does that sit on your shoulders as well? Because obviously, as a coach, you've got that sort of element, but as a referee as well, and you're at a tournament or a competition or an event, you're trying to do that, and that sort of thing's going on. How does that play into sort of what you're doing as well? Because that must affect what you're keeping an eye on.
In a way, yes and no. I understand that that's your temperament. That's who you are. If you're around and doing that outside the ring, that's who you are. Okay, so I know that's who you are. In the ring, you can be completely different. And in the ring, I'm looking. I could ref my best friend and tell him that he got his ass kicked. You know what I mean? Because as a good referee and as a good judge, there should be no differentiation between what's really happening in front of you. Just because I'm not saying that I don't like you, but if I don't like you, it doesn't mean that I'm going to judge you any differently. If you come in and whoop someone's ass, I'm going to say, that guy whooped that guy's ass. All right, cool, whatever. But that's where it is. There is no differentiation for me because I've been able to do it enough to compartmentalize it to make it separate from what I'm dealing with at that time. Because it's almost like a movie. I play a part when I go into that role. When I become the referee, I'm the referee. I'm there to be seen and known, and then to just disappear into the background. That's what I'm there to do. But when I speak, I need you to listen. When I tell you something, it needs to be done. And if not, then I'll talk to your coach and you and be like, look, if it continues, we're done. Simple as that. And that's really where it is. It's just, but learning how to compartmentalize it, that comes with training and that comes with experience and that comes with, doing it over and over. I'm doing it every weekend damn near. So I'm in it. And like I said, I'm sitting in a parking lot talking to you right now before I go in and do one for the next 5 hours. So that's how involved I am. I'm sitting outside Jean Jacques Machado in Camarillo right now, just waiting to go in and run this event. So
what about Southern? So you've had your whole journey, what we talked about, and going up to your black belt, you've been competing, you've had your super fights and all that. You've now got your own gym that you're running. Also, you're a referee now. Is there anything left on that bucket list? Is there any future targets that you've still got to look at that you want to achieve?
I would love to be in the UFC. That's my goal. But I'm realistic. I just started this. I just got done with the process. I need to learn the inspecting first. Then I got to get into judging. Then I got to get into the refereeing. I know there's a process, and I'm doing what I want to do with that future. If that answers my question, I'm already doing it. But I know that this is a baby crawl. I'm not going to get to the top in one day. It's going to take years. And that's something I'm willing to do, which is why I said anyone that's serious about this lifestyle and this way of life for reffing and judging and inspecting, they need to go to Herb's course because it brought a sense of depth and professionalism to my reffing style now that I'm not just the guy out there. I'm more than that. I'm everything about this event. Because if I lose control, there is no control. You know what I mean? And that's what I've really learned there is that I have to be able to control myself when chaos is breaking out around me. And that is something I'm able to do. And it was something that was brought into my psyche when I went to Herb's course. So, again, to answer my question, I'm doing what I want to do with it. But I'm literally on the first step of that journey, if that makes sense.
No, but anything else besides reference well? Is there any other sort of targets or bucket list things you think, it'd be cool if I could get to that one day or do that one day? Or
one day, what my real bucket list is? I really, 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 I know it sounds funny, but me and my wife really want to go to Japan. That's about the only bucket list really
As
left
well,
right
actually.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just travel. I would love to travel and do some fights. I would love to, that would be the thing that I would eventually do, all that kind of stuff, because in life I'm already at the top of my clinical ladder, where I'm at in surgery. That's where I wanted to be. And again, I've been blessed by the creator to be able to reach the top of where I want to be, or at least find a path to get to that top piece. So all I'm doing is keeping my eyes, ears, and spirit and heart open to the world. And I think the biggest badass thing that people can do nowadays is actually show your heart to the world, because so many people hide behind masks nowadays. I'm very, what you see is what you get. How you talk to me is who I am. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. Like the great man Popeye said, I am what I am, and that's all that I am. And that's what I am, man. I was born, and this is who I became because of all of the opportunities that the creator gave me. I look at grappling as a tool God gave me to help shape my character. And, who am I to deny him the fact that not only did he allow me to learn and teach the arts of war, but he also taught me and allows me to teach the arts of healing. It's the base, it's the most honorable duality that I could ask for. And by doing those things and knowing that they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, I know that I'm serving my life's purpose at this moment. And that's all I've ever wanted. I got a wife that loves me. I got children that loves me. I got a house over my head, clothes to wear, food to eat, water to drink, and a God that I trust everything in. So I've already won in life. I don't, everything else is just blessings.
Bonus,
That's what I tell people. It's just blessings. Like this is just one of those blessings, being part of your podcast, man. So thank you so much for allowing me.
And I was just going to say, if anyone listening to this wants to get in touch with you for your gym or to book you for reffing or whatever, what's the best way for anyone to get hold of you?
I would say Instagram me, P Judges Jiu Jitsu, PJUDGES _ Jiu Jitsu. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
That on the notes as well for you.
Yeah, on the Instagram. That's the best way, because I'm always, that's where all my jiu-jitsu stuff and connection goes through. So like everything is through there. And then after that, I give out my personal number once we figure out what's going on, kind of thing like that.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you for taking the time today. I know you're a very busy man, and you've got a few hours of reference ahead of you now as well. So
yeah,
thank you very much for taking the time, sir.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, mate. Again, God bless you guys. Thank you guys for your show. And, I'm honored. So thank you for the time.
A huge thank you there to PJ Montano for taking time just before he's off to ref for 5 hours to come and talk to us today. Thank you very much. And it is very much appreciated. And we loved having you on the show. Well, that brings this week's show to an end now. I have been your host, Brett Summers. As I say, the Grapple Rise show will return next Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time. In the meantime, if you go to the grappleride.com, you can check out all our past episodes, etc., and all our social media links. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other ones. If you go on to YouTube, you can check out our video episodes and audible episodes. If you'd like to have a watch, please give us a like and a subscribe. Give us a follow on there. It really does help. I mean, comment on the episodes as well. All of that really does help us out. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all the usual podcast places. So again, on there, rate, review us, leave us a comment. It all really does help us. But anyway, we will be back next week with another exciting guest. So stay safe and stay on the mats.